Operational data is piling up rapidly across your systems, and business teams are aggressively demanding fast analytical insights to make their decisions. As a technical lead, you have to decide, do you spend months building a massive, highly integrated enterprise data warehouse, or do you spend a few weeks spinning up isolated departmental databases? A centralized data warehouse is a consolidated repository. It integrates data from multiple heterogeneous sources, like your production databases, CRMs, and flat logs, into a single unified schema built for historical analysis. A data mart is a specialized, much smaller slice of data. It's tailored and optimized purely for one specific business domain, like the finance team or the marketing department. Which path you take determines whether you prioritize enterprise-wide data governance right away or immediate localized agility. This is a 3-tier enterprise data architecture. The bottom tier shows raw data sources flowing into a staging and ETL area, where they are standardized before entering a massive central repository. In the middle tier, smaller data mart blocks sit directly on top of that central repository. These are designed to serve specific teams with pre-filtered data. The top tier is the presentation layer. This is where user-facing BI tools and dashboards connect to the middle tier to execute queries. Since data marts frequently sit on top of the warehouse in a mature system, the real debate isn't about which technology is better, it's about deployment sequencing. You have to decide whether to build top-down, starting with the massive central warehouse, or bottom-up, by building agile, standalone marts first. A centralized data warehouse requires building complex ETL pipelines. You have to take chaotic, mismatched data from Oracle, Salesforce, and flat files and process them into uniform blocks before they can enter the vault. This creates a unified single source of truth. Because every record is integrated into one schema, you can run historical trend analysis over a 5 to 10-year period across all departments simultaneously. Since data is loaded in batches, typically overnight, massive analytical queries don't slow down the transactional systems your customers use throughout the day. The trade-off is the significant upfront engineering cost and the months of development time required before you can run your first report. The architecture is also rigid. Altering it to accommodate a new data source is slow, and because it relies on batch loads, executives are analyzing data that may be several hours or even days old. Ultimately, a centralized data warehouse trades immediate agility for enterprise-wide data consistency and standardized governance. Standalone data marts take a different approach. As this diagram shows, you can build a small, agile pipeline that routes a specific subset of data, like sales records, directly to a departmental dashboard. Because you're only extracting a small slice of data, you can deploy this in weeks rather than months, and the queries execute almost instantly for the end user. However, this limits analysis to that specific domain. It becomes very difficult to run cross-departmental queries, like comparing marketing spend directly against final revenue. Building these marts without a centralized warehouse as a foundation also creates significant long-term technical debt. These isolated silos often lead to mismatched metrics. You may find that marketing's definition of revenue completely contradicts how finance defines it, leading to reports that don't align. While data marts solve the immediate analytical needs of a single department on a budget, they risk fracturing the company's baseline truth. To evaluate these head-to-head, we have to look at the primary business constraints for each architecture. For scope and cost, the warehouse is an enterprise-wide, high-cost investment. The data mart is a departmental, low-cost alternative. In terms of time to deploy and rigidity, a warehouse takes months and is difficult to change, while a mart takes weeks and remains highly agile. Neither is objectively superior. They are simply distinct tools engineered for different levels of organizational maturity. Deciding which to build first depends on your immediate budget, timeline, and analytical scope. If your primary mandate is cross-departmental integration and reliable historical auditing, the path leads to the centralized data warehouse. For enterprise-level governance, the upfront engineering time and costs are essentially the entry fee. But if you are an agile startup or a department head needing tactical insights this quarter on a low budget, the data mart is the more viable starting point. Aligning your architecture with your current scale and maturity reduces the risk of expensive over-engineering or building data silos that fail to scale. In a fully mature data ecosystem, these two architectures aren't mutually exclusive. This updated diagram shows how they work in synergy. The massive central data warehouse forms the foundational base, serving as the trusted repository for all raw and integrated historical data. Then, specialized data marts sit in the middle tier to serve individual teams with tailored data derived directly from that trusted warehouse. By layering these architectures, you maintain enterprise governance at the foundation while enabling teams to query tailored data at higher speeds. Your decision isn't about which technology is better, but where to focus your resources first. Start with the foundational warehouse, or the specialized marts, based on your most urgent constraint, immediate speed, or long-term governance.